Hey guys, on today's menu we got the mini review of the Oppo Find 7, not the 7a, this is the 2K version, and since I already quite extensively reviewed the 7a, I will use this video to talk about the three major differences. So let's damn it. So let's get straightforward. What are the three major differences of this device compared to the 7a, and I would even call it disadvantages? Point number one, the display. Granted, it is sharper, but therefore it is noticeably less bright. It has worse viewing angles, gets way warmer, and at least in my case, it is calibrated way too warm. And I showed it to a lot of different peoples, and no one did notice any difference in sharpness having both side by side without me telling them. So keep this in mind, the display is point number one. Point number two is the performance. Having both side by side, scrolling, doing everything I did normally, there is a noticeably significant difference. And it is not about lag or anything about unsmoothness. The difference is, in my opinion, the frame rate. Where the Find 7a is mostly sailing along at constant smooth 60 frames, it seems to me like they did just shave off like maybe 20% or let's say 20 frames per second on the 7. Everything just feels less smooth with just less visible frame rates. And this is a no-go for me, because why should I get the bigger, the heavier flagship device to get less performance? Because see it like you want it. We have more pixels on the 2K QHD, call it whatever you want version, and we have the same SoC, so we can't possibly have the same performance, and this is noticeably. That's point number two. Point number three is the battery life. You have more pixels, so you have to push more. And this is noticeable. The device gets warmer, what I already mentioned, and the drain was definitely bigger. Because having both side by side, when I did the setup process of both, you noticed the drop of the 7 was way bigger than on the 7a. I don't really know exactly how much, because I have to admit one thing. This is not the 7, this is the 7a. Because there's one thing, I used the 7 for 2 days and I just couldn't stand it any longer. I had to get rid of it, I sold it, because I don't see any point in getting a flagship device that is inferior to the smaller brother. And that's why I want to get now to my two questions. Would I recommend it? No. Would I buy it? Hell no. Because if I would say I would recommend it, I would say sure, if you want to pay more for a worse overall screen, noticeably less smooth performance, and just average battery life, sure, go for it. But I am not one of those people. I won't tell you this device is a flagship, because it isn't. If you want a flagship device from Oppo, get the 7a. Or maybe take a look at the OnePlus if you can get it, and then decide. And if you had a hard time deciding between the OnePlus and the 7a, I will do an in-depth comparison between both. I hope to get it ready tomorrow, but otherwise you can wait for that. And I will also check the LG G3 once I get the review unit. But all I can tell you right now, don't buy the 7. It makes no sense for me. There is no reasonably sense, despite the fact if you want 2K, if you want a sharper screen. But you will settle for an overall less satisfying experience. The device just isn't the flagship. The flagship is the 7a, in my opinion. Call it whatever you want, because you also pay $100 more just for a gigabyte of storage of RAM more, which you won't notice since the device overall is slower anyways, and for the 16 gigabyte more storage. So save the money and buy the 7a, or look for something else. But I can't recommend the 7. I'm not saying the 7 is a bad device, but with the 7a on the market, it makes no sense to buy the 7. That's it for my mini review of the Oppo Find 7. Let me know what you think. If you totally disagree, fine. If you agree, give me a thumbs up, do whatever you want. But that's it. Bye.